The world of Pokemon is huge, and only getting bigger with each new generation. However, with so many different regions at this point, have you ever stopped and wondered which would be the best one to live in? Is it the one you grew up with? The one with the best Pokemon? Or maybe it's the most beautiful? Well, that's what we're here to talk about today. I'm going to be taking a look at all 9 of the regions in the core series: Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, Alola, Galar, and Paldea to decide which one I personally would most like to live in. So let's start off with where it all began. Kanto. This was of course the first region that we ever got, being the setting for Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and eventually Fire Red, Leaf Green, and the Let's Go games. And I've got to say, I think the biggest upside for this one is I know this region like the back of my hand. And I've seen the back of my hand too many times at this point.
Get the f*** out of here.
Yes, Kanto is nostalgic, but at this point it's kind of boring. So many games have taken place here along with like half of the ROM hacks that I've played. Kanto's kind of like your hometown. It's great to visit every once in a while, but do you really want to live there when there's so many other options? It's not a bad region, it's got basically anything you'd want in a map, but it can also feel kind of a bit lacking at times when compared to the other regions. It's kind of bare bones, and I feel like after a little while, I'd just want to go somewhere else. So it definitely wouldn't be my first choice. I feel like I'd be happy here, but always craving something else. So we're going to put Kanto at B tier. Johto. If you've watched some of my other Pokemon related videos, you probably already know this, but I fucking love Johto. It's a little similar to Kanto in the fact that I've been here so many times, but it also has never felt played out to me personally. It's a bit smaller than Kanto, but I don't think that's necessarily a detractor, because even though it's small, it's got so much going for it. There's less urbanization, which gives it a lot more of like a small town feel, with plenty of woods and forests and caves, but the cities are also great too. You've got some with some real history to them, like Ecruteak or Violet City. But then you have Goldenrod, which is this huge bustling city with anything you'd want. And there's more to do here as well, from the bug catching contest held at the Safari Zone to the Battle Frontier. I feel like I'd be really comfortable here, not to mention this region is home to like 5 of my top 10 favorite Pokemon. And if I ever wanted to change things up a little, Kanto's right next door. I love Johto, and this might be a somewhat hot take, but I think it would be a top choice to live in, so I'm going to say S tier. Hoenn. I played the shit out of Gen 3 as a kid, so this is another region that I could get through with my eyes closed. But the biggest thing I've been going back and forth on with Hoenn is how much damn water is in here. Like, Hoenn is wet. And that's kind of a cool thing, lots of fun places to explore if you have the means to. And I generally like being in the water in real life, but I don't know if I'm going to want to have to ride a Pokemon out in the middle of nowhere, dive under just to get to a city if I need to go to Sootopolis for some eggs or something. But that could also be seen as a positive and make it more interesting, along with some other really interesting cities around here like Fortree and Pacific Lodge, which are undoubtedly some of the cooler places in any region. You know, there's also some other neat places in here like the Sky Pillar and Mount Chimney, but honestly, if I lived here during the events of Gen 3 with the legendaries fighting and almost flooding the world, I'd be moving. I love Hoenn, but I don't think I'd personally like to live here, so I'm going to say C tier. Sinnoh. I feel like Sinnoh could be really hit or miss. Some of the best things about this region could also be considered some of the worst. It's got a very diverse environment throughout, from the snowy mountains of Mount Coronet to the beautiful waterfronts like Lake Verity, but this could also be a bit of a downfall with the harsh weather in places like Snow Point, and the fact that the entire region is separated by a gigantic mountain. Imagine if you lived on one side and had to work on the other. That commute would be hell. Also, some of the most powerful Pokemon are from this region, like Giratina, which is basically a god. If there was some giant deity in my town that could transport you to a world of distortion, I might be a little less likely to go sightseeing. But outside of that, Sinnoh seems pretty nice and decently peaceful outside of the whole, distortion world thing. But hey, every place has its downfalls. I feel like this is a nice middle of the road region for me, so I'm going with B tier. Unova. Listen, I've never been much of a big city guy, but I feel like I could make an exception for Unova. This whole region just feels so exciting to play in, and I'd imagine living here would just make every day feel like a new adventure. So much to do, so many places and people all around. But if you need to get away from it for a bit, there's also some more natural feeling areas. These could also be a bit of a downfall though. Like, I definitely like my peace and quiet and think that might be a little hard to come by in a place like this, especially if you're living in more of like the modernized areas. Altogether, I don't think I'd see myself settling down for good in a place like this, but I honestly think I'd be willing to give it a shot. It would just be so exciting, I don't think I'd want to pass it up. So I'm going to go A tier for Unova. Kalos. Am I the only one that found Kalos kind of boring? Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed X and Y, but nothing about this region ever really stood out to me personally. It's inspired by France, so it has a lot of cities that feel really like cultured and lived in, but at the same time, they all just feel a little half-baked. Even Lumio City, which is supposed to be like the central point of this region, always just felt kind of underwhelming. It feels a bit like Unova does in the fact that it's pretty modern and culture-based, but it also just doesn't feel like it would be nearly as exciting. I feel like this might be like the best region to retire in. Like, it's peaceful and relaxing, but just so damn boring. This honestly might be my least favorite region, and I could never see myself spending more than a couple days here at a time. So I'm gonna go D tier. Alola. Alola is another one of those regions where it's kind of hit or miss. Like, it's probably the most beautiful region. You know, it's an island nation based on Hawaii. It would be nothing but beaches and sand and beautiful landscapes. But at the same time, I feel like it might be a little isolating living in a place like this. But you've got to admit, living on a tropical island does sound pretty enticing. The warm climate, the beautiful ocean, and it seems like a very relaxing and peaceful place for the most part. This place is gorgeous, sunny, and I think it would be a lot of fun for the most part. My only real concern would be getting to other regions if I had to, so I'm gonna go A tier. Galar. Based on the United Kingdom, Galar has a bit of everything going for it. It's got some huge vibrant cities, nice quiet villages, and tons of place to explore in, both in the wild area and outside of it. But that's also kind of its downfall. With it being so diverse in its settings, none of them really stand out that much. Even the wild area, while being a new and fun idea for the Pokemon world, it just feels kind of barren and boring at times. Most of the other regions just seem a bit more exciting and lively than this one, except for when it comes to battling. I do absolutely love how they treat Pokemon battles as like major sporting events here. Battles have never seemed bigger than in Galar, and at the very least that would give you some sort of entertainment every once in a while. Other than that, it seems to be a pretty nice, albeit somewhat intense culture here. I just feel like personally I'd be pretty bored most of the time unless there's a big battle going on at the stadium or I feel like getting chased through the wild area. I'm gonna go C tier. And last on our list, we've got Paldea, the newest region introduced in Scarlet and Violet. This place seems like it would be okay, lots of fun places to explore, and however, this region is based around the massive crater in the center of it all, which strange anomalies of the past and the future emerge from. Fun. This place does also seem to have like a big focus on educating future trainers thanks to the academies within the region. Outside of the schools though, the towns do feel pretty barren and boring for the most part. Boring towns, giant crater, school. All of these are actually on my don't move here list.
Huh.
So I think I'm going to have to end this with putting Paldea on D tier. And there you have it. Those are the regions I would most like to live in or not live in. Hopefully I can battle enough trainers to make the money to actually afford a place in one of these regions. I've been trying to do that over here, but nobody's been coughing up when my cat beats theirs in a battle. You're going to win me so much money. And if you want to watch these videos without ads and also have the chance to vote on video topics, the Secret Ham Society is always open to new members. Thanks for watching.